So in this part I want to talk about the viewport of Cinema 4D and all the options you have for the viewport and how you can improve your viewport performance and what settings you should do for certain kind of scenes, so um, your performance is better in high poly scenes, for example. So the first and I think very important setting is in the program preferences under OpenGL. There you find anti-aliasing. If you turn that off, you will have a way faster viewport um, experience. But as it's nice to have anti-aliased edges, I leave it on till I feel that my display is getting slow, and then I turn that off. This is always the first thing I do when my display gets slow, if you work on high poly or big scenes. So the second thing you can do about the viewport is changing the shading model. So this is quick shading, and this is way much faster than the ground shading mode, which also shows speculars, and this also has OpenGL, enhanced OpenGL on. So you see reflection, specular, and noises and transparencies and everything in the viewport. Actually, the OpenGL display of Cinema 4D is one of the best I have seen so far. Of course, Cinema doesn't have the features of, for example, the viewport 2 of Maya, where you have depth of field and ambient occlusion. These are features that Cinema doesn't have. But you have a very nice texture and light preview of your scene. But you can always go to other shading models, so you have also a faster response. Um, if you turn on lines mode, this is always slowing down the scene, so I wouldn't recommend this mode until you need it. You can also be in a non-line mode and check your display options. There you can check selected wireframe, so every time you select a object, you will see its wireframe. But yeah, I prefer mostly to use outlines to see which object I have activated. What I don't like is this highlighting effect, because this looks like disco. So if you move your mouse, you see it highlights objects. So I always turn that on off in the filters. The outline I turn off also if I work in animation or yeah, where I don't need to see exactly the contour of the selected object. But if you are setting up your scene and moving objects, it's always nice to see which part you will move, so you see already the preview of your selected object. Okay. Another important thing besides all these options, which I don't explain in detail, you can check all this out in a demo version of Cinema 4D if you want. Another important aspect is the level of detail. This setting reduces all generator objects. So if you have generator objects, it will reduce the polygon count, the subdivisions, and yeah, and the counts of cloners and stuff like that. For example, here I have the stars. Here are clones. So let's increase that a bit. So you will see the effect. And now if I go to low level of detail, this will show me less clones, even if they are there and also they are getting rendered, you don't see them in this viewport. If I go to high, I see all the clones. If in medium, I see a intermediate view. Um, this also works, for example, for splines and all kind of generators. So if I draw a spline here and now I sweep this spline, you see now the spline is very the sweep is very high poly. If I go to, well, it's not that high, but it's quite high. And if I go to low level of detail, also this sweep will get less subdivisions. But if I render this, it will be rendered perfectly fine. It's only about viewport. Okay, let's go to quick shading. Now, also you can disable all textures, and this will also speed up the viewport if you have a lot of textures and big textures, and also it will load up the scene quite a bit. So I prefer, if I save a scene, I always turn off textures, and if I reload the scene, it will load much faster, because it doesn't have to load all the textures to the graphics card. Also, you can use the filters to filter out certain kind of objects, lights and cameras, the grid, the horizon, world axis, what else, deformers, yeah, everything, many different kind of objects. And so you can have a very clean view of your scene. If you turn on all, you see everything. I also use a script to toggle between a clean view and a view where I can see everything. So you can script this quite easily. I will show you something like that in the scripting part of this series. I also want to show you these switches here. These are global switches for generators, deformers, um, coffee or scripting tags, animation, motion clips, constraints, kinematics, symmetry, and hair. So these are similar to the options you have with the layer browser, but these options here are global. So if I turn off deformers, you will see this will getting not executed. And this is generators, so everything that is a generator, like the MoGraph object here, which are the stars, will not getting executed. Um, if I would have hair, I could toggle this off and on also. So this is all about speed, about performance. So depending on which area you are working, for example, if you are modeling, you don't need to have hair and kinematics and everything on. You can just turn that off and your performance will increase. So these are very important toggles. I also have some scripts which are specially aimed for some uh, special objects, like the cloth NURBS and hyper NURBS, the subdivision surface, or only instances, only XREF objects and stuff like that, or only MoGraph objects. So You can also use custom scripts. You will get these scripts everywhere in the community. These are mostly free scripts and very useful. But as I showed you before, you can also go into this settings and select here all cloners, and then in your attributes manager you can also disable and enable them. Okay, I think this was about Viewport. Um, I'm not sure if I missed something, but of course I missed a lot, but I think the most important stuff is covered, and yes, you can always ask if there are certain things you need for your workflow, and I can check if this exists in Cinema 4D. Okay, thank you. Okay, first I didn't want to do that, but I have to. I'm sorry. I was told not to do it and never say Modo and Cinema 4D in one sentence, but I really cannot leave it as is, that many people have the misconception about Cinema 4D being a poor viewport performance application and being a not advanced application. So one thing I want to make is I want to measure facts, because what I don't understand is why people are talking like that. And maybe you can help me, but from what I have tested so far, and I have tested only Modo, I don't have installed demo versions of other packages, but now I want to focus on Modo. So here's Modo, and I have a OBJ file of a head scan, and I will just take my stopwatch and open this file. So this is, now it's doing. Okay, so oops, I'm not sure about these options, so I just leave it. Okay, now I start counting the time. And from what I have tested so far, Modo is taking a long time to load this asset. And I'm not sure if that is some problem with the Mac version of Modo, or if that is usual. I have the current version of Modo, which is, I'm not sure why I can't see that. But today I downloaded the demo, so that should be the current version. And the asset loading is really slow, and I also tried that with a big FBX file, and that was the same. I also had some crashes, and the display in OpenGL was not really good, and I'm not sure what I did wrong. Maybe there was something I did wrong, maybe not. So please, if you can let me know something about this, because I think Modo is a great modeling application, and I even visited conferences and tried to get used to it. And yes, I know the workflow for many people is great, and I know that there are many modeling tools that are really great. So I don't want to talk bad about Modo at all, but what I never would do in Modo is work with big assets because of this. Now we have 100% and we are at 1 minute 45 seconds, and I don't even see the mesh. Okay, this is loading still. I mean, that is important to me. Now we are here at 2 minutes. That is really frustrating, I think. And if I rotate the view, it is not responsive. It is not at 30 frames per second. I don't know how to measure the frame rate in Modo, but this is definitely something between 10 and 20 frames per second, I guess. This is showing the lines still, but I have not found a way to show only the ground shading and no lines. So I tried all these and without luck. Maybe you can tell me something about this. I want to get rid of the lines, but no luck. So this is not a good experience, and I would not want to make retopology work in Modo like that. Maybe with low res meshes, but this is 5 million polygons, and this is usual, I would say, for scans. And I'm working with up to 10 or 20 million polygon meshes, so that is easy doable in Cinema 4D, but not in Modo. Please tell me if you have different experiences, maybe on the Windows version. I cannot check this out now. Okay, now let's quit Modo. I am frustrated and I want to have fun, so I go to Cinema. Let's stop my watch and open the same file in Cinema. So here I set OK and start. Here you can see the progress. The file is, by the way, about 500 megabytes. And here we are. So this is 15 seconds. And now I can smoothly work in the viewport. This is really a fast, responsive viewport. We have 5 million polygons and we navigate really fast. If I enable the HUD, here you can see the frame rate, which is at 120, 150, 160. So the frame rate is really great. So with this mesh and polygon snapping, I could do retopology really easy. I will talk about retopology later. Okay, now let me try something more difficult. I will just make an instance of this object, set render instance, so it doesn't take so much memory. And now let's make some duplicates. Now I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 heads. Let's copy all these again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Now my frame rate is at 4 frames per second, which is still okay. I can work like that. If I would have a huge environment with this polygon count, I would have a huge asset. I mean, I'm talking now about 73 times 5 million polygons. So this is 73 times 5 is 365 million polygons. Of course, these are not real polygons. These are instances, render instances. So this is not real polygons. So these are all instanced But I will show you later when we do cover rendering that also you can render this kind of setup very fast, also with physical render and global illumination. I will show you that later. So now if someone tells me the viewport of Cinema 4D is slow, I can imagine why this misconception is there. Maybe this is because if you used deformers and you do a lot of procedural stuff in cinema, that is a big advantage of cinema because you can do so much procedural. And these procedural deformers um, used to be single-threaded in versions below release 15. So since release 15, all these deformers, well, most of these, I think there are still some deformers that are single-threaded, but most of these and the most important deformers are multi-threaded and really fast now. So even that is not a big issue anymore, and you can work with deformers really fast. So that might be a reason why many people think Cinema 4D is slow, but it isn't. In this regard, Cinema is superior of Modo, and also I think it can compete with Maya Houdini. I'm not sure about this, but um, I I cannot test this now. Maybe you can, if you want, if someone really is will to test this, I can maybe ask my client if I can give this head scan away, and I can um, give you a download link to this mesh, and you can make tests on Maya Houdini. So that would be really interesting. Okay, that was it. I wanted just to mention this and make this comparison. And again, I don't want to make any application bad, and I just want to compare facts, and I don't want to say that cinema is better than other applications. Cinema viewport performance is really good, and that is the only thing I want to say. Okay, thank you.